Alright, we're going to call this one Creating Your Own Plex TV Station Part 1. If people like this video, I'll do more parts and expand upon it. What you're going to need is this uses Python. You're going to need the Python Plex API. If you Google it, you can easily find it. You can also use pip to install it, I believe. Pip install Plex API should get it for you. Now to do the TV station action like I have created, you need a control script. I'm going to call this test1 my Plex TV. And I'm going to need a couple global variables, Plex and client. Now to start out, we're going to need a function that logs into the Plex API. So we're going to call it plex login. And you need to obviously know what server you're connecting to. And we're going to hard code it. You can do it different ways. For simplicity, we're just going to hard code it in this video. I call it base URL for the server. Mine is 102.1.6. Yours is probably different. Alright, and you're going to go look at my notes here. From plex API.server import plex server. And then you're going to say plex is equal to plex server base URL. And you can go client is equal to plex.client, and we're going to hard code this again, but there's ways around that. We'll get to that in a future episode if we get that far. Game PC is the one that's in the background here. Okay, that's pretty much all we need there. Now let's create a function to get movies. Now we're going to say we're going to call this, actually first we're going to call this plex login function. I don't even think we really need the global variable. Alright, but we can go movie list is going to equal plex.library.search section movies. That's the name of my movie section. Now this is going to get you returning basically a whole bunch of like movie objects from the Plex client, which are not really, you can't really crawl through it that way. So the way I've found to get your movie list is you need to go MV list, or whatever you want to call it, is going to equal movie list dot search for whatever. And what we're going to do is we're going to say min equals 0, max equals length MV list minus 1. Probably should get another function here that we're going to need. Might as well put this one at the top for another, or I should say library we're going to need. Now we might as well add shuffle to while we're at it. Okay, so then we're going to go play me is going to equal random integer 0. I guess we didn't need to do min. Max. We'll take this one out. And play me is going to equal mv list play me dot title. Return play me. So if we call this function here, get movies, say equals get movies, print say. Let's see if we did it right here. We'll go to my other terminal. We can go my Plex, open Python first here. And see, there you go. Look at return Kung Fu Panda 3. The Mexican, right? So it's obviously working. It's finding titles in my library like it should. So how do we make that to where it will actually play that? Alright, so let's delete this return here, and we're going to go, we'll add a print here, found the following title, alright, so you get a little bit of output to know, is it working? Now the way that your play action is going to work is now you're going to say client dot play media mv list play me 1 2 good, and we'll return done. Alright, let's try that and see what happens. So as you can see, it's obviously playing. Right, just like we wanted. Now if we test it again, then you might have noticed there that I used a command from my own previously made script. You can do all that kind of stuff. So here we go, Python myplex.tv. And look, now it's going to play Shanghai Noon. Okay, so let's add a couple extra commands here to make it life easier on us. So let's go def stop playback, Plex login, client dot, always forget these ones, let me look it up here real quick. And you got to add video here because we're specifying video for this. And we'll just add it. We'll say stop video in case you want to add music as an option, right? And def pause video, which will also serve as resume. Client.pause video. Okay, so we're going to need another library here to make our life easy. Import sys. So what we can do here is we can go, let's comment this one out. Oops. And we'll say if sys.argument, I think it's 1, maybe it's 2. Let's see here. It's going to be 1. It's going to be actually 2. I take that back. If sys.argument2, and we're going to say if stop video in sys.argument2. Do stop video. Else if pause video in sys.argument2. There's probably an easier way to do all this. Pause video. And we're going to then go else if start next program in video. Get movies. Actually, no, we're going to leave that. Alright, let's try this out now. So we added a couple options so that we can pause playback, stop playback, or start the next program. Actually, totally, I guess it is 1. Oh yeah, it should be 1, I guess. See there, you can see it paused the background video. If we do pause again, it'll resume. And stop video. There it stops. And start next program. Right, so obviously that's working too. So how do you make use of that? Well, if you have something like Plex that can launch scripts based on playback state, you can very easily load, specify that your script with your start next program in that. Now, I don't use Plex, so I can't actually walk you through that part, but it should be pretty easy from what I've read. What if you want to, while we're at it, what if you want to react to your own webhooks? Alright, if you're still watching, it's because you're curious how to do the webhook portion of it and launch the next program when something is stopped and all that jazz. So before we start, we need to log into our Plex web server, console, whatever you want to call it. We need to go to your My Account. And you go to webhooks, and you notice I've already set up this webhook for my controller here. That's the address for it. You just hit add, put it in there, boom, you're done. That's all you got to do from the Plex side. So we are going to make, I'm going to call this webhook service.py. And you need the web library, and I'm also going to add OS. That's going to come into play later. Now I'm going to use a global variable called wstatus. And we'll come back to what that's for in a minute. Okay. Now let me do some other code here, real quick to get this going. so the first thing we need to add is this class that does all the work here. And I'm going to say client. This is where we hard-code our client again, if you remember, which we'll come back to how you can get away from doing that too in a future episode if we do one. And we say data equals web.data. Now let's see what that data looks like before we do anything. Okay. Now let's go ahead and start our webhook service. That's interesting. Oh, I bet I know why. Because I already have a webhook service running for my main one. Alright, let's try that again. So there we go. It worked. And we have, it's ready to go. It's waiting for input, so to speak. Now we're going to, let's test it here. Remember my Plex TV script. Start next program. And we should see, you see it started in the background. We got this webhook event with a bunch of stuff in it. Right? It's kind of hard to work with in that manner, but whatever. For pause and resume, we got events. Let's do stop here. Now what you'll notice here is we got a stop here, and we also got a duplicate stop. Right? That's kind of a pain in the ass. For play, pause, resume, Scrabble, you get one event. For stop, you get two events. That's what the web status variable is for, so that we can account for that duplicate stop and not react twice. So how do we get this going here? Well, let's do some work on it. We're going to say, I've created a couple helper functions, but to save time, I'm going to copy them out of my practice one here that I created to make sure all this would work for you. Don't worry, I'll have a, all the code is going to be shared so that you can more easily follow along. And if you're good with Java, you don't have to do all the effort I did to clean up the client and the get action. But let's show you how that works here. We're going to say client is going to equal to get client data, and action is going to be get action data. And we'll see print client, print action for testing. Let's restart our webhook service, and let's see what happens now when we do something. Alright, so you'll notice here in our webhook service we got the client detected and the action detected just fine. Alright. Alright, pause, resume, right, working like it should. So how do we make use of this data? So we're going to say if W status equals on, if media dot pause in action and client equal to game or client. And then you can do whatever you want here. I'm just going to print playing. You could have it like raise your smart lights or lower your smart lights, whatever. Else if media dot zoom in action and client equal to client. This should actually be paused. And I need a colon there. And else if media dot scrabble in action and client equal to client print and the last one, else if media dot stop in action and client equal to client this is where the W status comes in. W status equals off. Alright. Now we're going to go else if W status equal to pending if media dot stop in action and duplicate action. Else if media dot play in action and client equal to client. Media playing, resetting. Alright. So, we got all that. Just delete some of this white space. Okay, let's restart this. And we'll pause the video. And you notice we got the paused like it should. We got the resumed like it should. Now let's stop it. And look, you got stopped. And I think we have a problem. Let me double check our code here real quick. Because we should have got W status. Oh, that's our problem right here. Pending. Alright, let's restart this. Alright. We'll start something else here. Alright, so see, there you go. Stop, duplicate action, skipping. So how do you make use of that to launch your next program? Well, if you remember back to our script, the command is start next program. So let's make use of that. So we're going to say command is going to equal and you're going to go os.system And you can also use subprocess in place of os.system if you want to capture the output. That's useful to have in some cases. Alright, let's see this bad boy in action now. Alright, start next program. And let's pretend like it stopped, or ended, or whatever you want to call it. Right, stop, starting next program, trying to play, blah blah, done, media playing, resetting, and it's ready to go. And look, it's playing Real Steel. Right, worked like it should have. Let's try it one more time. Stop, starting next program, playing Jack Reacher, done, media playing, resetting. See how quick and easy that was? Handy. Alright, so it's quite easy, as you can see, to customize how you react as far as what webhook is detected. Now you can very easily, if you want to have multiple clients in here, like I have one in my downstairs room, and so I have, different actions for if the client is upstairs versus downstairs, like I'll raise my upstairs lights and lower them versus my downstairs lights, that kind of stuff. Really easy to do. You just need a little bit of coding and you're on your way. So there you go. Hope you found that useful. If you got any questions, let me know. Hopefully you don't.